Brilliant, thank you, Famida. So yes, as Famida said, I am the head of the National Contact Centre Services at Victim Support. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on victim support first. So the independent support service, that was really helpful having that poll question at the beginning. So I understand that I'm speaking to many people who aren't aware of the service at all. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of an overview of victim support first. So we're the leading independent victims charity. Our purpose as a charity is to help and empower people affected by crime and traumatic incidents to move beyond that crime and recover to a point where they're able to get their lives back on track. As an organisation, we are independent of the police and local authorities, but we do work with them as well as with the whole of the criminal justice system and other relevant bodies to improve services for victims and provide much needed support. I'm very conscious when we talk about, when we use the word victim, that's quite a powerful word, and quite often people who come to us in through various routes and through various services don't perhaps perceive themselves as victims. So if we can just think loosely about the term victim, it's anybody who is basically affected. If you can move on to the next one, thank you. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, I'm head of the National Contact Centre. So our National Contact Centre at Victim Support provides a whole variety of different services for a variety of different external bodies. And I've listed here just a few that might be of interest to you. So our kind of flagship services are 24/7 support line service, which is our victim support service. That's a free confidential telephone service and now offers also live chat, providing that immediate emotional support and ongoing referral for victims of crime. The line is available and the chat service is available for anybody who has been a victim of crime, regardless of when that crime happened and regardless of whether it's actually been reported to the police or not. So quite often we have people coming through on that service who are exploring what's happened to them and whether that is actually a crime or not. So it can be from very early stages. We also provide the information line for the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. I'm sure you're aware that inquiry is coming to an end this year, but their telephone route into the service is held by us at the National Contact Centre. We deliver a helpline for Parliament for the Independent Complaints and Grievance Scheme. So that's for victims and respondents or people who have been accused of bullying, harassment or sexual misconduct within the parliamentary context. We provide, as I said, live chat, we provide email, we provide other digital forms of support as well. We provide a number of services internally to our network of victim support services across England and Wales. And we work with a number of high street banks supporting victims of fraud who are customers of theirs. So they're bespoke services for individual high street banks that we provide. And then obviously the services that I'm sure will hold far more interest for yourselves are the healthcare regulator support services that we provide for a number of different healthcare regulators, including obviously for the General Osteopathic Council. Thank you, next slide. So what is the independent support service? So Victim Support's National Contact Centre currently provides helplines on behalf of other healthcare regulators, as I said. We've held a contract with the General Medical Council and the Nursing and Midwifery Council. I think we're in the 4th year of that contract, and then we do have some smaller regulators where we provide this service. So the service is free. It's dedicated support for anyone, including osteopaths, witnesses and affected others. Basically anybody who is affected by the fitness to practice process and who are involved with the GOSC investigation. So the service gives individuals the opportunity and space to be able to discuss and process their feelings in relation to participating in the process. The service is very much tailored to the individual needs of each person that we support. So there's no kind of one size fits all. We very much take the needs of the individual as they come to us and work with the individual that we're supporting on a very kind of tailored, individually tailored support package. We're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to provide support to anybody affected. Whenever that might happen, we're conscious that obviously sometimes you don't feel that you need to have a support call in 9 to 5 hours. It may be late at night or even in the early hours of the morning that somebody really needs that support. So we are available at the National Contact Centre at any time that somebody needs to come through to us for support. I think it's really important to stress the independence of our service. So we're not there to pass judgment, we don't hold opinion, we don't have any involvement in the fitness to practice cases. We are there to meet the person where they're at, so we're very much client-centred, and we're confidential, so we don't share information with anybody, including with the General Osteopathic Council, in relation to the support that we provide to individuals. So our experienced team of call handlers offer immediate emotional support as well as practical help and information, and that can range, that really does range dramatically in terms of what the callers or what our clients need. As I said, when you first come through to the service, you'll be have a kind of a needs assessment in a very gentle way. It's not a form filling exercise, it's very much just determining what your needs are and therefore how best we can meet them, and pulling together a support package that's tailored to the person calling. Thank you. Next slide. So as I said, we provide a very individual tailored service. The support can last as long as the caller requires, so we set up an ongoing support package for those who need it, and that's not time limited. The only limit on time is that the support needs to end within 3 months of the end of the case with the Osteopathic Council. So as I said, we provide a caseworker support model. The caseworkers are available Monday to Friday 8 till 6, but calls are taken at any time, as I said, and then fed into the casework staff to provide that ongoing support. So the immediate emotional support is provided by a team of staff who are trained in terms of that immediate need, and then feed them into the caseworkers who will then pick up, and people are then supported by a named caseworker so that you have the opportunity to build a relationship and a rapport, and you're not repeating your story. So that person can provide that ongoing support. We have a really comprehensive directory of other organisations that we can signpost to if that is what the client needs. So we have a service directory that provides local and national other support organisations. So people may come to us for support through the fitness to practice case, but in the course of their relationship with us and their ongoing support and their work with the caseworker, there may be other needs that are identified that are better suited or better met by another organisation, and we have that facility where we have a directory, a comprehensive directory of other organisations that we can refer to. Osteopaths can access the service in the following ways. So we have an email referral. So those email forms can either be filled in by the Osteopathic Council, or osteopaths themselves can refer themselves into our support. So there's an email address there, and there's a form that can be completed. The direct phone number is on the slide here. This is a direct line that is open at all times, as I said, and again, we can take self-referrals. So if somebody just is aware of the service and feels that they would benefit from the service, or even if you would just like to come through to explore a little bit more about what we actually do in terms of the support, then we can take a call on that number. If somebody is calling the Osteopathic Council and is in immediate distress, or if the call handler feels that they would benefit from that instant handover to us, then we can take warm transfer calls. So you can be transferred straight away on that call through to the independent support service and have that immediate emotional support. Thank you. Next slide. In terms of channels of communication, I have already said that it's really important to us that we are independent of the regulator. So anything that you share with us, we do not share back to the Osteopathic Council. We do encourage you, obviously, to share anything that we feel is pertinent to the case or pertinent for them to know, but we don't breach confidentiality unless, of course, there's a safeguarding concern. But in terms of anything that's shared with us, that's kept kept with us, and likewise no information relating to cases is shared with us by the Osteopathic Council. So it's very much what we are, the knowledge that we have is very much what the client chooses to share with us. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, I think so. That's the end of my slides.
Thank you very much, Sara. That was really helpful run through, and I think key points for me to take away there is that clearly that you are an independent service, but more importantly a confidential one. I know there was a question that popped up a little earlier which has been retracted, but I think that's because you've addressed it during the course of your presentation, which is really helpful, and I think that's probably a key concern for many that would want to approach you. So that's helpful to know. We're just going to actually take a couple of questions before we move on. Do keep them coming if you've got any more questions for Sara. I'm going to start off, Sara, with one question we have here. What falls within the category of bullying, particularly in a domestic setting between spouses?
Sorry, can you just repeat that for me, Ida?
Of course, yeah. So the question is, what falls within the category of bullying, particularly in a domestic setting between spouses? So, I mean, I think that's a more general question, but it could be a domestic setting where we have one individual as a professional, could be a concern reported when two people are in a relationship. But the question is, what falls within the category of bullying?
I think I'd find that question quite difficult to answer, because that would be in relation to, is this in relation to whether this would fall within the remit of a fitness to practice case?
It's not clear from the question, actually.
Okay. I'm wondering if it's in relation to the service that I related to in terms of the Parliament service that we deliver, and that has a very kind of defined criteria, but that would be pertinent to that service, and I'm not sure that I would be equipped to answer that in relation to fitness practice cases.
Sure. No, I would agree. I think context is key when we're looking at topics like this. I would invite our member of the audience to follow up with that. Yes, here we are. So we have a bit more information. Let's say two osteopaths live and work together and there is bullying involved. So we are looking at it within a fitness practice context. Both osteopaths both live and work together, and there's bullying involved. Criteria there, I mean, I think bullying would be defined in its general terms. I don't know if you have more to add to that, Sara.
I mean, in terms of the independent support service, if the two osteopaths were in the fitness to practice process, one presumably as a complainant and one as a respondent, either or both of those people would fall within the remit of the independent support service, and we would guarantee complete split between the two people being supported. There would be absolutely no crossover in terms of caseworkers or information shared, but both people, if they were subject to a fitness to practice case for the bullying and they fell within the remit of a fitness to practice case, would both be eligible to access the independent support service.
Thank you, that's helpful. So I hope that's answered your question in terms of the support services available. If you're referring to the fitness to practice concerns that you report to the General Osteopathic Council, there's a separate process for considering those complaints and concerns that are raised, and that's a responsibility of the General Osteopathic Council rather than the Victim Support Service. So it might just help for you to distinguish the two. The Victim Support Service is obviously not there to look at the concerns that you've reported and take them forward for investigation. That's definitely the role of the regulator, and I think again that just underlines that point, doesn't it, Sara, that we are two independent and separate bodies working, you know, in sort of, I suppose, tandem and making sure that the support is there. Thank you.